Welcome to the second episode of the Association Podcast. I am your host, Jackson Groff, and this episode is a special episode, not only because we were talking about the preseason 7-on-7 preview, but we also have a very special guest all the way from the lovely island of Hawaii, Mr. Brandon Huffman, the 24/7 Sports National Recruiting Editor. Appreciate you, sir, for joining.
Hey, you know what? It's only about 70 degrees right now. It's about to become dusk. I literally have nothing to complain about right now. So you're going to get the best, most candid me.
The best person in the world with subtle flexes is Brandon Huffman. For anyone listening, the best subtle flexer in the entire world, Brandon Huffman, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, for sure. But I didn't mention.
You only get the honesty from me tonight. You're going to get straight up honesty.
I love it. But didn't mention, but CEO Taylor Barton is here as well. Taylor, talk to us about the age divisions and location circuit for this season, including a special destination that is a first for the 7-on-7 Association.
Yeah, it's really exciting. You know, we're based in the Northwest and started out our circuit here. And we grew last year outside of the Northwest to Alaska. This year, we've added a Los Angeles tournament. So really excited about it, you know, and we've grown age divisions too. You know, we have a 3rd, 4th age group division, a 5th, 6th grade, a 7th, 8th grade, freshman, and high school. So we're going as young as 3rd graders now. So it's really cool to see how it's grown. We're going to be in cities, Seattle, Vancouver, Washington, Los Angeles, Olympia, Washington, Yakima, Washington, Spokane, Washington, Salem, Oregon. Will be in Anchorage, Alaska. And each year our plans are to grow to eventually be where Brandon is in Hawaii, to be in Northern Cal, Arizona, Rocky Mountain region. So we're taking some big steps in 2022 and I'm excited and I'm excited for people to see what we're going to offer.
You talk about a lot of locations and age circuits, or age divisions, which means that there's going to be a lot of teams, a lot of tournaments already sold out. Who are some teams, you both can answer this, that stick out to you, some programs in the Northwest?
How about we do this? Since Brandon's the more important guest, I'll talk to him on some of the programs in the Northwest that kind of stand out first, and then he can maybe just talk a little bit about them. You know, when you talk in the Northwest right now, you know, you talk heavy hitters, and obviously in the state of Washington, the two that come to mind are FSP, run by Tracy Ford Sports Performance, and Air Football Academy, run by Reggie Jones. Huff, maybe talk a little bit about both those programs and some of the kids that will be on the circuit this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the, you know, what has traditionally been one of the biggest events and kind of what birthed the 7-on-7 circuit as we know it, has been the Pylon National event in Mesquite, Nevada. And in consecutive years, both FSP and Air made it to the championship game. FSP won it all in 2019. Air made it to the championship game, lost in overtime in 2020. But it shows, you know, the kind of the national cachet that both teams have. You know, since then, you've had some of the other teams that participate in the Northwest Tour and the association with regional events. Air and FSP have produced a number of those guys that have gone on to the Pac-12, guys that have gone on to the Big Ten, to the SEC, you know, to the Big 12. And I think that that's kind of showing you, you know, in just exactly where the 7-on-7 talent level in the Northwest has become. And those are two teams that they basically prepared themselves for the national circuit in January at the Association Winter League, you know, at a various amount of association events. And those are two programs that, you know, I'm excited to see. You know, both have been kind of hit hard by graduation over the last couple of years, you know, and elite graduates. But then you look at those teams and it's kind of like both school or both programs reload each and every year.
Yeah, really good. It had some big time kids each of the last few years. You go down to Southwest Washington and you got Big 12. I know I believe Jamar Howard runs Big 12. They have the number 1 player in the state of Oregon on their roster. Is that correct? And who is that?
Yes, so it's Riley Williams, who's going to be on the circuit this year. He is the number 1 player in the state of Oregon, a top 5 tight end nationally, out of Portland Central Catholic. If that name sounds familiar, you probably watched the ESPN game between Central Catholic and Clackamas, where Riley Williams had 2 big touchdowns in the first half to allow Central Catholic to run away with that game, and eventually Central Catholic won the state championship in the state of Oregon. And Riley Williams has offers from the majority of the Pac-12, but national programs. Ohio State made him one of the first 2023 tight ends in the country with an offer. He's got SEC, he's got Big 10, he's got Big 12, he's got national programs, and Portland is cranking it out. And so you look at what they're coming off of in 2020, 2022 class of the 2021 circuit. Tobias Merriweather played for FSP in national tournaments and played for Big 12 in regional tournaments. Jordan King, who was also a part of that Central Catholic squad on that roster. Justice Lowe, who might be one of the fastest rising players in the Pacific Northwest. He just committed to Oregon this week, was originally a Utah commit, had Florida, Notre Dame, and USC all offer him since he didn't sign in December. And he decided to stay home and play at Oregon. So kind of a fledgling program there in Portland, Vancouver, that will be one to watch in the next couple of years.
Talking about Portland, there's 3 heavy hitter programs in the Portland area. You got Team Lillard, run by Houston Lillard and Rashad Carter. You got E-Force, run by Ryan DePaulo, Alex Brink, Kieran McDonough, and you have GrindTime, run by Aaron Woods. Maybe talk about those groups a little bit.
Yeah, Aaron Woods, he was putting together a team this year with the pandemic. A lot of the programs were using seniors on their teams because those guys weren't sure they're going to get a senior year. And they put, a pretty big scare into a lot of teams down in Bullhead City. He had some players that were kind of fast late risers. Darius Clemens kind of played, bouncing back and forth between Team Lillard, between GrindTime. But I think GrindTime's kind of an up-and-coming team. Team Lillard has 2 of the better DBs in the state of Washington, one in the Tri-Cities, and Gabe Tahir, offer from Penn State. You've got Kyle Chen down at Vancouver Mountain View, also has an offer from Penn State. Both those guys are part of the Team Lillard program. And then E-Force, with one of the bigger off-season wins, was getting Sam Levitt, who is the top quarterback in the 2023 class in the state of Oregon, plays for Portland Westview High School's brother Dallin, an NFL player with Las Vegas Raiders now, played at Jesuit High School back in the day, and now is playing in the NFL. So, there's been some movement with some of these guys, what teams they played with last spring to where they're playing now, but they're all still playing and representing those Portland area schools, or Portland area programs.
The last one, you go further south down I-5, that's really been a program that's jumped up on the map the last few years, is MVP, run by Matt Quinn. I know they got some dudes. Matt's done a great job with that program. They've had a lot of success. Maybe talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, in fact, probably their first real star has been Jacob Newell, who is headed to the Arizona State University out of Thurston High School in Springfield. He was an addition to the Polynesian Bowl this week. He's been one of the standouts this year. So you may be looking at tight end down there at MVP because you have Jacob Newell as the top tight end in the 2022 class. You have Riley Williams in the 23 class playing for Big 12, but in 2024, AJ Pugliano out of South Medford, or actually he might be at North Medford, top 100 player in the 24/7 initial top 100, a 4-star player, has already got a couple of Pac-12 offers. He's kind of the next rising star. And then a guy that, Taylor, I know you're really high on, that we've gotten to see at the last couple of Northwest Nines, Brock Thomas out of Sheldon High School in Eugene. If the Sheldon program, there's a quarterback in Los Angeles for the Chargers named Justin Herbert, who's a Sheldon alum at quarterback. They've produced quite a few quarterbacks in the last few years. Justin Herbert, Alex Brink, who's also part of B-Force. But Brock Thomas might be the next kind of rising quarterback in the state of Oregon, that 2023 class. He's the quarterback for Sheldon High School.
Well, Taylor, you mentioned a lot of teams on the Northwest, but there's a state that not a lot of people know about that has shown tremendous growth in the 7-on-7. That's the state of Idaho, who has a lot of ballers. Tell me about the state of Idaho.
Yeah, really excited to see the growth there. We went and did a couple tournaments in Boise, and I think it kind of opened the eyes of a lot of people around there when it was during the pandemic, and brought Oregon and Washington teams out there. Idaho, the border was open, and it's been amazing. There's a lot of good groups and people out there. The heavy hitter programs in Idaho, you got 208 Platinum, run by Just Jackson, who's just killing it in the state of Idaho right now. You have Triple Threat, run by Steve Martinez. He had his son Malachi as our quarterback last year, Zeke coming up this year, and they've got some dudes. You have Gas, run by John Evans, and then you have Rain, run by John Lammers. So those 4 programs are really going to be competitive throughout the circuit against anyone. And I think there's going to be some championship games made, some semifinals made, and some kids getting star rankings and notice and potentially offers down the road as a result. So super excited to see the state of Idaho so represented. And our plan next year is to get a Boise, Idaho tournament on our circuit, because that area has grown so much. And now we can bring all our teams from Oregon, Washington, Alaska, California there, do a Boise State visit as well. So we're excited about Idaho for sure.
Back to you, Brandon. There's some more national programs to watch, not only in the Northwest. Who are some of those that are on your radar as we look forward into this 2022 7-on-7 season?
Yeah, hopefully, Taylor, I'm not speaking out of turn by, jumping on some of the names that are going to be at the Space Needle shootout in a couple of weeks. But one of those is KT Prep, and I mentioned them just a little bit earlier. They have been the power program in the Bay Area, probably going back, to the early part of the decade. Players such as Devin Asiasi, starting pennant for the New England Patriots. One of their probably biggest success stories was a kid named Jake Haener, who was a relatively undersized quarterback, went to the University of Washington and transferred to Fresno State, where he put up some video game numbers this year and essentially got Kalen DeBoer the head coaching job at University of Washington. Jake Haener's coming back, another product of KT Prep. And then I don't know how much people watch NFL and they're familiar with Pro Football Focus rankings, but the highest rated rookie safety in the NFL is Javon Holland for the Miami Dolphins, another KT Prep product. So they, Nate Kenyon, Julian Kenyon, who does director player personnel, Maurice Jones-Drew, the former UCLA All-American, Jacksonville Jaguars legend, has really built a prominent program. Well, they're loaded in 2022, and they made it to the semifinals. We talked about FSP Heir making it to the championship game in 2019 and 2020 at Pylon. KT Prep came up short in the 2021 game, but they got the majority of that group is back. And that includes Jaden Rashada, top 5 quarterback nationally. And, Jaden Rashada right now might be, with Malachi Nelson committed to the University of Oklahoma, Jaden Rashada might be the most coveted quarterback by most Pac-12 schools, with Nico Iamaleava, who we'll see down at the Battle at the Beach in March. But with Jaden Rashada, he's got a number of Pac-12 schools after him. They'll be in Seattle next weekend. They'll be going to Junior Day at Washington. Rasheed Williams just got an offer from Washington. He's got 15 offers. He was one of the first underclass prospects that Stanford offered in the 2023 class. You've got Journey McCoy, a number of De La Salle kids, Cooper Flanagan, who is committed to the University of Notre Dame, a top 100 player, top 5 tight end nationally. He is on KT Prep. So, KT Prep does a great job of not just getting elite Bay Area kids to be Pac-12 recruits, but a lot of national recruits. And that's one school that one program that I'm really excited to see. Always big supporters of the 7-on-7 circuit, but they aren't afraid to travel. In fact, I remember they came up for a tournament about 5 years ago, and Javon Holland took an official or unofficial visit to Washington, was offered by the Huskies on that visit, and then picked their bitter rival, Oregon, where he started as a true freshman. So you look at the caliber of teams coming, and then you got teams outside the Pacific footprint, guys like C4 out of Texahoma. I think that's kind of what their hashtag is Texahoma.
That's right.
With the combination of Texas and Oklahoma. So what do they have? Well, they've got the number 1 player in the state of Oklahoma in the 2023 class, Vi Job, out of Community Christian, out of Norman, Oklahoma. Being in Norman, you're going to figure that, he's going to probably be a tough get out of there if your name is at University of Oklahoma, being that he's in their backyard. He's an edge, but he'll probably play some tight end, probably play some outside linebacker. And then the 2024 class out of Sherman, Texas, is Davian Sims, a 4-star who's listed at 6'3", 250, another kid. I think we'll see him playing some outside linebacker. We'll see him playing some tight end. But Texas, Oklahoma, both well represented on C4.
Yeah, and that's Sean Cooper running that program, and he's just killing it out there. Just an incredible job he's done. And there's a whole list of kids of 3- and 4-star kids that they have. So they're going to be down at our LA tournament, Battle at the Beach, Brandon mentioned, in March. Super excited to see them. KT Prep will be at our Seattle event and down at the LA Battle at the Beach tournament. Couple other teams and programs of note. We have Level Up, from Utah coming. They've always got dudes. I'll let Huffman, after I mention some of these teams, you can go back and maybe talk on some kids. You got the Arizona Dolphins coming out of Arizona. You have Be Great out of Nevada, who just won a tournament a few weeks ago. You got Team Full Gorilla out of Colorado, D1 Elite out of Arizona, Houston Stars out of Texas. So just to mention a few that are going to be in at least one tournament, if not more in our circuit. Huff, go ahead and maybe talk.
Level Up has always been one of the best programs in the state of Utah. A few years ago, they had Puka Nakua, who was the Polynesian National Player of the Year. He was also the All-American Bowl Offensive Player of the Year. And the year before that, they had this quarterback from a school that hadn't really received much notoriety at the point, a little school called Corner Canyon High School. And they had this not little quarterback, but a quarterback that was at the time committed to Boise State. A lot of schools didn't want to take him. They weren't necessarily super high on him. And his name was Zach Wilson. Ultimately ended up at BYU and the number 2 pick in the draft for the New Jersey Nets, the New York Jets. Well, who's the quarterback for Level Up's Pink Outlaws this year? A young man by the name of Isaac Wilson, also known as Zach's little brother, 4-star kid, already has a handful of offers. That Corner Canyon program, he had Jackson Dart, who started as a true freshman at USC this year. He's in the transfer portal now, but started at USC. And he was replaced by Devin Brown, who is headed to Ohio State, an All-American. Isaac Wilson already has a number of offers, but he'll be the starter for the next 2 years for Corner Canyon, but he's the guy for Level Up. So national names. I mean, when we're talking national names, we're not just saying names that are known to the national college football fan. We're talking names like Javon Holland, who's a lock to be an all-rookie team. Zach Wilson, who's the number 2 pick in the draft. I mean, these are the kind of programs that you're having, that they're bringing programs that have had elite players play for them, and they're now doing so in the NFL.
You guys mentioned a lot of big name programs as well. Talk about some of the under the radar programs, maybe some teams that are just starting up. As we mentioned, a lot of teams that have been starting their program maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Who are some of those teams that are on the rise that not a lot of people know about now, but will after the season?
Yeah, there's throughout the Northwest in our circuit, we've mentioned the kind of blue blood programs. We've mentioned some of the programs coming from national spots around the West Coast into the South. Other kind of mentionable Northwest programs. You have Northwest Wolfpack, run by Cody Oakes up in Bellingham, Washington. You have Provision, run by Greg Peach out in Spokane, Washington, former Eastern Washington great lineman. You have NextLevel. Sean Ridley runs a program out of Olympia, Washington. They grew from their first year to now they have 5 teams at all the different age divisions. So really good job that he's doing. You got Gridiron getting started up in year 1 with DeQuinn Evans, who's doing a really good job in the Washington, kind of the greater Seattle area. You have Rise. Rachi Miller has done a really good job growing Rise Football Academy. They have multiple teams in their program at all the age divisions, youth to freshman to high school. So they've done a really good job of building up 253 Elite. John Elliott put together a team that has some real talent. 253 Elite as a team. I'm telling you, every year there's always a team that sneaks into semifinals and championship games, and 253 Elite we're going to go back to this podcast sometime down the road, and I'm going to say I told you so, because they are very talented and they're going to definitely upset some people. We have Northwest Fusion. Dennis Sablon runs that program. Huff is familiar with that. A couple years ago, Huff, they had a pretty good quarterback. You can maybe mention his name and talk a little bit about him.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how Josh Wood has been kind of the riser for the 2022 class out west, and especially in the Northwest. In 2021, that was Kekoa Vesperis, who is headed to Eastern Washington. He's probably excited to see that Josh Wood decommitted from Eastern Washington and is likely going to be headed to the FBS level. But what the thing with Kekoa is a kid that used the Northwest 9 as really that launching pad. His biggest offer was a Division II offer, goes to the Northwest 9. Sam Hewer is the number 1 quarterback in the country. He's no surprise, walks away with the MVP, but Kekoa Vesperis' production at that event launched him into be an Eastern Washington kid. So with the spring opening up the 7-on-7 circuit to those seniors who were in jeopardy of losing their senior year, Kekoa comes, and I think they won 3 tournaments this year, Taylor, and really launched him to be kind of a guy that Eastern Washington fans should be pretty excited about.
Yeah, I'm super, super excited. I mean, there's lots of good programs we're going to see. There's going to be, there's always new ones added, but a lot of good teams. There's going to be a lot of competition. Jackson mentioned we are sold out for our first, we're going to be sold out for our whole circuit. And our first one was capped with a big wait list, and the quality of programs and teams, we're going to do podcasts on each individual program. We'll do podcasts on each individual tournament, but this just gave some, oversight into what we've grown this into and where we're at now. And I'll let you guys take it on the bigger cause and the purpose of what this entire circuit is all about.
Yeah, Brandon, you have a big tie with the association in a unique way with your daughter, Avery, and her foundation, Avery Strong Foundation. What does that foundation mean to you?
I mean, it means the world to me. My daughter meant the world to me. And, again, Taylor, I'm going to probably make you blush here, but I mean, one of the most ardent, faithful supporters of our foundation from the day that we really were incorporated with has been Taylor and, Spartan football and the Northwest 7-on-7 Association, Northwest 9. I remember Taylor showing up to Avery's memorial service and, just come in. He'd had an event that day, an all-day event. He still made it to the service. And, over the course of the next few months, he developed the very first brand of the Avery Strong Showcases and did events in Washington, in Southern California, in Northern California. And I think at that point really conceived of an idea of, hey, let's do these events for football players since we're both in the football space. But let's do something where these kids walk away learning about something much more important than football. And that's pediatric cancer, and specifically DIPG, which is the cancer that took my daughter Avery's life. And in the 5 years, almost 6 years that our foundation has been apart, there has been no organization that has been a bigger supporter of what we've done from a financial standpoint, from a promotional standpoint, than Taylor and his team and his crew. And so when he came to me in this fall of 2017 and said, I've got this idea that I'm going to launch a 7-on-7 association in the Pacific Northwest. What do you think? I'm like, I think it's a great idea. He's like, cool. Now, what do you think about me tying Avery into it and calling it the Bravery 7-on-7 Association Tour? I don't even think I was able to get the words out of my mouth fast enough to say yes, because Taylor's big thing was not just about the financial support he was raised. He said, I want you to be able to tell Avery's story. I know that it's been important to you and your wife, Amanda, to keep saying her name, to keep telling your story. And I want every event, people to know her name, to see her face at the admission tent, to see her picture on the trophies, to see her name on the tent. And, there's a lot of people that say they're going to do it. I've seen Taylor do it each and every year so many times. I mean, he is so beloved in our family because it's a genuine feeling from the heart of what he's a dad. He's a husband. He's been, he's got children. And it's something that no family wants to go through. But, here's a guy that running a business, you do have to support your family. And he has sacrificed a substantial amount of income because of his belief in what we're doing and his support in what we're doing, and have been the most faithful and the most diligent supporter of what we do. And I can tell you as a dad, I mean, we've had, one of Avery's teachers, her son played in the tour in the association for 3 years, and she was Avery's kindergarten teacher. She would send pictures of the trophy or the tent to Amanda and I, just to show her, hey, we're here playing the Avery event. How cool is this? Friends of my son. My son plays as a part of the 7-on-7 Association himself. And, I can't tell you what it means to me to be able to share a trophy presentation at the end about Avery, for my wife to be able to go, for her Avery's sisters and brother to go to these events and know that this event isn't just about football. It's about helping families fight back. And, that's why it's been so cool to, watch the association grow, because what that's given me is more ears to hear Avery's story. And the fact that Taylor, from the beginning, this wasn't, I'll say it. There's been a number of events over the last few years where people have this idea, hey, we want to do an event. We also want to help your foundation, but we really want to do the event. Taylor was the other way, said, hey, we want to help your foundation. And by helping your foundation, we want to do these events to help the foundation. And it was never about, hey, we're just doing these events, but we'll throw the foundation name on it. Taylor has made it a priority to make Avery and the Avery Health and DIPG Foundation the, for lack of a better word, the star of the show. yeah, football's important. Football's what gets us there. But she has been so diligent in letting me share her story each and every year. And we've gone now, into Alaska, into Oregon, to California, both Northern and Southern California, into a number of states. And that's given me more audiences to share Avery's story. And I mean, as a father who lost his child at such a young age, to be able to, 6 years later, continue to share a story, I can't tell you how therapeutic it is, how much it means to us, and just how much, peace and comfort and joy it brings us.
Yeah, what a nice and lovely, touching story you said there. And like Taylor said earlier with that team in Portland, that team, we can go back to this clip and him being right. I'm telling you, I think 2022 is going to be the biggest year for that foundation for sure. Avery Strong will be blowing this year. So I appreciate you guys for joining me. Make sure next week, our first event preview of the Space Needle Shootout on January 29th and 30th will be posted, where we will highlight players to watch, make predictions, and also we take a early sneak peek before you guys even see it, of the pool play matchups. Who are some marquee matchups we're excited about? Very excited to talk to these two about. To not miss anything, follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, to stay updated and engaged. We're Brandon Huffman and Taylor Barton. I'm Jackson Groff. We will see you next time.